With President Trump making a stop in Metro Atlanta today as the candidates prepare for the home stretch of the upcoming election.
The president promising new jobs in new Capitol business while trying to sway Georgia's black voters who may have historically voted Democratic. 11 Alive's Doug Richards is live at the Cobb Galleria with more on the rally that ended just within the last hour. Doug?
And certainly the history as well as the polling suggests that President Trump's efforts with African-American voters here in Georgia may very well be an uphill climb. An 11 Alive poll conducted in June showed that only 10% of the black voters who were polled were supporting President Trump. The other 90% were voting mostly Joe Biden as well as other candidates. Of course, that was 3 months ago. The president came to the Cobb Galleria to tout what his campaign calls the Platinum Plan for Black Economic Empowerment. It promises $500 million of new money for black-owned businesses to borrow, and the president says it will guarantee the black community more jobs.
For decades, Democrat politicians like Joe Biden have taken black voters for granted. They made you big promises before every election, and then the moment they got to Washington, they abandoned you and they sold you out. The Democrat Party used you and they lied to you every single time. You know it better than anybody else knows it.
The president spoke to a crowd of about 300 people, many of them African Americans from around the country. It was not a typical Donald Trump rally. The room was fairly large and the capacity was limited so that folks could at least keep their distance from each other if they wanted to do so. And although polls show that President Trump may be a tough sell to African American voters in Georgia and elsewhere in the country, the African American supporters who are in this room think that there's a good reason for that to change between now and November. We will have that tonight at 6.
All right, Doug Richards, we will see you then.